I stood backstage at Madison Central High School, clutching my valedictorian speech with sweaty palms. Through the curtain gap, I scanned the audience of 2,000 people for my parents. Empty seats. Row 12, seats 9 and 10. I checked my phone. One text from Mom. "Sweetie, Ashley's pedicure appointment got moved up. We'll catch the recording. So proud." My sister's pedicure. After 4 years of perfect grades, after staying up until 3 in the morning, after sacrificing everything. A pedicure. I delivered my speech in a complete daze. Words came out of my mouth, but I barely registered what I was saying. Something about perseverance, about community, about the future stretching before us like an open road. The audience gave me a standing ovation. Teachers shook my hand. The superintendent pulled me aside for a photo. Principal Dr. Henderson beamed at me like a proud father. My best friend Marcus found me afterward in the hallway outside the auditorium. "Dude, that speech was incredible. Where are your parents? I want to congratulate them too." I forced a smile. "They had an emergency. They'll celebrate with me later." Marcus frowned. He knew me too well. "What kind of emergency?" "Just family stuff," I said quickly. "Nothing serious." The award ceremony followed graduation. I walked across the stage again, this time to receive the Madison Academic Excellence Award and the announcement of my full-ride scholarship to Stanford. $50,000 per year. 4 years, $200,000 total. "Doctor?" Henderson's voice boomed through the microphone about how proud the school was. How this was a historic achievement for Madison Central. I scanned the audience again. Still empty seats. After the ceremony ended, I stood in the parking lot watching families take photos. Mothers crying happy tears. Fathers clapping their sons on the back. Little siblings holding balloons. I pulled out my phone and called my mother. She answered on the 5th ring. "Hello, sweetie. How did it go?" In the background, I heard music. Laughter. Ashley's voice saying something about coral pink versus rose gold. "It went fine, Mom. Did you know I got a full scholarship to Stanford?" "Oh, that's wonderful, honey." Her tone was distracted, cheerful, but vacant. "We'll talk about it at dinner." We made reservations at Olive Garden for 6:30. "Did you hear me? A full ride to Stanford. $200,000. "That's nice, Cornelius. Very nice. We need to go now. Ashley's almost done with her pedicure. See you at dinner." She hung up. I stood there in the parking lot, holding my phone, wearing my graduation gown and honor cords, holding a certificate for $200,000 in scholarship money. Around me, families celebrated. Nobody noticed the valedictorian standing alone. Marcus appeared at my shoulder. "They didn't come, did they?" I couldn't speak. I just shook my head. "I'm sorry, man. That's really messed up." We stood there in silence until the parking lot emptied. Then Marcus drove me home. I spent the next 2 hours in my room, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of what had happened. Trying to convince myself there was a reasonable explanation. At 6:45, I arrived at Olive Garden. My parents were already seated. Ashley sat beside Mom, showing off her feet in flip-flops. Her toenails were painted a bright coral color, with tiny rhinestones on each big toe. "Look, Cornelius!" Ashley thrust her foot toward me. "Aren't they gorgeous? This color is called Sunset Dreams. It cost $75, but Mom said I deserved it." I slid into the booth across from them. Dad barely glanced up from his phone. "Hey, sport. How was graduation?" "It was fine." "That's good." He went back to scrolling. Mom squeezed Ashley's hand. "Tell Cornelius about your plans for fall semester at community college." Ashley launched into a 20-minute monologue about her upcoming classes. Her new boyfriend Trevor, the apartment she wanted to rent near campus, the car upgrade she was hoping Dad would help finance. Mom and Dad listened attentively, asking questions, offering advice and encouragement. I sat there, silent, invisible. Finally, there was a pause in the conversation. I took a breath. "So, I got a full scholarship to Stanford today." Ashley rolled her eyes. "We know. Mom told us. Congratulations or whatever. It's $200,000. A full ride." Dad looked up. "That's great, son. Really great. Shows good planning on your part." "Good planning?" I stared at him, I worked for 4 years for this. I gave the valedictorian speech today. At graduation. That you missed. Mom's face tightened. Cornelius, don't start. Ashley's appointment got moved up. We couldn't help it. It was a pedicure, Mom. My graduation happened once. Her pedicure could have been rescheduled. Ashley slammed her hand on the table. God, you're so selfish. Everything always has to be about you. I needed this pedicure for my date with Trevor tonight. You're going to Stanford. You're fine. Why do you have to make me feel bad? The waiter appeared then with menus, diffusing the tension. We ordered in uncomfortable silence. When the food came, Mom tried to lighten the mood by talking about Ashley's recent completion of her associate's degree, how proud they were, how much Ashley had grown, how her professors loved her. I pushed pasta around my plate and said nothing. Dessert arrived unexpectedly. The waiter placed a small cake on the table with a candle. Congratulations to the graduate, he said cheerfully. Mom and Dad's faces brightened. Oh, how thoughtful. Mom said, Ashley, this is for you. The waiter looked confused. Actually, I thought it was for the young man. The valedictorian? The hostess mentioned it when you came in. There was a terrible, heavy silence. Well, Dad said finally, clearing his throat, we're celebrating both graduates tonight. Cornelius graduated high school, and Ashley finished her associate's degree. We can share the cake. Mom nodded vigorously. Exactly. Both our children are graduates. We're so blessed. Ashley cut the cake. She gave herself the largest piece. I excused myself to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, pulled out my phone. 63 text messages. Congratulations from teachers, from classmates, from Marcus's parents, from neighbors, from my soccer coach, from people I barely knew. The mayor had even sent a message. Dr. Henderson had written a long note about how proud he was, how I was destined for greatness. 0 messages from my own parents sent before dinner. I stood there in that bathroom stall, and something crystallized in my mind. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time oversight. This was my entire life. Every piano recital where they showed up late. Every soccer game where they sat in the car. Every parent-teacher conference they skipped. Every birthday where Ashley's parties were elaborate productions, and mine were afterthoughts. I'd always told myself they were busy. They were stressed. They were doing their best. But they weren't. They were making a choice. Every single time, they chose Ashley. And I was going to find out why. The following Tuesday, both my parents left for work. Ashley went to Trevor's apartment. I had the house to myself. I'd been thinking about this for days. Something wasn't right. The favoritism was too extreme, too consistent. There had to be a reason. I started in Dad's home office. He worked as an accountant, and his office was filled with filing cabinets containing years of financial records. I felt guilty at first, rifling through his papers. But then I remembered the empty seats at graduation, and the guilt evaporated. The third drawer contained a folder labeled College Funds. My hands trembled as I opened it. 2 statements, side by side. One for me, one for Ashley. Both accounts had been opened by my paternal grandfather, Grandpa Edmund, when we were born. He'd put $45,000 in each account, meant to grow over the years for our college educations. I found the most recent statement for my account. Current balance, $2,300. Ashley's current balance, $78,000. I sat back in Dad's office chair, staring at the numbers. They didn't make sense. My fund should have been worth more than hers. I was 3 years older. It had 3 more years to grow. Then I found the transaction history. Age 10. $5,000 withdrawn. Notation. Medical emergency. I remembered being 10. I'd broken my arm skateboarding. But I also found the hospital bill paperclipped to the statement. Total cost after insurance. $1,200. What happened to the other $3,800? I kept reading. Age 12. $8,000 withdrawn. Notation. Ashley's private tutoring. Age 14. $7,000 withdrawn. Notation. Ashley's dance competition travel. Age 16. $12,000 withdrawn. Notation. Ashley's car. Age 17. $10,500 withdrawn. Notation: Ashley's college application consultants. There were more. Dozens of smaller withdrawals. $500 here. $2,000 there. All of them transferring money from my account to household expenses or directly to Ashley. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of every page. Then I found something else. A letter, yellowed with age, tucked in the back of the folder. The handwriting was familiar. Grandpa Edmund's distinctive scrawl. The letter was dated 5 years ago, 6 months before Grandpa died. "Richard," it began, "I'm adding $20,000 more to Cornelius's college fund. That boy deserves every opportunity. He's special. Don't let Patricia's favoritism hurt him. I see what's happening in that house. I see how you erase him. It stops now. This money is for Cornelius alone. Do not touch it. I mean it. Love. Dad." My vision blurred. Grandpa had known. He'd seen what was happening. He'd tried to protect me. I flipped to the transaction record. Sure enough, $20,000 had been deposited 5 years ago. And then, 3 weeks later, it had been withdrawn. All of it. In one lump sum. The notation: Ashley's emergency dental surgery. I remembered that. Ashley had gotten veneers for her senior prom photos. Perfect white teeth that cost $18,000. Mom had called them medically necessary when Aunt Diane asked about the cost. They weren't medically necessary, they were cosmetic. And they'd been paid for with my grandfather's money. Money he'd specifically designated for me, in a letter explicitly telling Dad not to touch it. I felt sick. I kept digging. Found a folder labeled correspondence and opened it. Emails. Printed and filed. Between Mom and Dad from 2 years ago. Subject line: Cornelius's scholarship applications. I started reading. Mom's email: "Richard, did you hide those recommendation letter forms from Dr. Henderson? We can't let Cornelius get too many scholarships. He'll leave and never help Ashley. She needs him here." Dad's response: "Done." Also told Henderson that Cornelius was reconsidering college to slow things down. We can guide him toward community college, keep him local. Another email from Mom: "I really think we should push community college hard. If Cornelius goes away to Stanford or somewhere fancy, who will help Ashley with her classes? Who will be there if she needs something? He's always been so independent. He doesn't need the same support she does." I stared at those words until they blurred. They'd actively sabotaged my scholarship applications. They'd lied to Dr. Henderson. They'd wanted me to stay home and be Ashley's support system. I kept reading. Found more emails discussing how to minimize my achievements to extended family, how to redirect conversations away from my accomplishments and toward Ashley's, how to make sure relatives focused on Ashley's needs, not mine. One email from Dad to Mom: "Your mother asked about Cornelius's grades again. What should I tell her?" Mom's response: "Just be vague. Say he's doing fine. Then change the subject to Ashley's progress. If we make a big deal about his grades, she'll expect us to make a big deal about him. Let's keep expectations low." My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold the papers. I photographed everything, every statement, every email, every transaction record. Then I went to the attic. The attic stairs creaked as I climbed. Dust floated in the sunlight streaming through the small window. Boxes were stacked everywhere, labeled in Mom's neat handwriting. Christmas decorations, winter clothes, photo albums, and 2 boxes: Cornelius, school years, and Ashley, school years. I pulled down my box first. It was thin, maybe 20 items inside. Report cards from elementary school through high school. All A's, with a few comments from teachers. Cornelius is a joy to have in class. Exceptional student, natural leader, but Mom had written her own notes in the margins. Notes I'd never seen before. Too serious. Not well-rounded enough. Needs better social skills. Too focused on grades. My science fair project from 8th grade was in the box. I'd taken 2nd place at the state competition. The ribbon was torn. The project poster was water-damaged, warped, and stained. It looked like someone had left it outside in the rain. A participation certificate from junior year soccer. That was it. Nothing about being team captain senior year. Nothing about our regional championship. My National Merit Scholarship semifinalist certificate was there, crumpled and bent. My AP Scholar with Distinction certificate had a coffee stain on it. Everything looked neglected, damaged, worthless. I opened Ashley's box. It overflowed. Hundreds of certificates, all in pristine condition, many in frames. Participation ribbons, from elementary school art shows. Perfect attendance awards. Student of the Month certificates. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold. A first place, Regional Science Fair ribbon, with Ashley's name on it. But I'd won first place in 8th grade Regional Science Fair. Ashley hadn't even entered the science fair that year. I dug deeper, found more certificates with Ashley's name that I recognized. Academic achievement awards I'd won. Math competition placements. Essay contest victories. Someone had forged certificates with Ashley's name, copying my achievements. I kept digging and found something worse. A folder labeled Cornelius, College Apps, Do Not Open. Inside were letters. Acceptance letters, Princeton, Yale, MIT, Duke, all offering full financial aid packages, all with scholarship offers. All dated from my senior year. All acceptance deadlines passed without my knowledge. My hands trembled as I read them. Princeton had offered full financial aid, plus a $15,000 annual research grant. Yale had accepted me into their scholars program. MIT had offered me a place in their honors engineering track. I'd never seen any of these letters. My parents had intercepted my mail. They'd hidden my acceptances. They'd let the deadlines pass. I only got into Stanford because Dr. Henderson had personally brought the acceptance letter to me at school. He must have suspected something. He'd arranged for my Stanford mail to come through the school office. But every other college I'd applied to from home, my parents had sabotaged. I found more evidence. Ashley's real report cards, hidden beneath the fake certificates. Mostly C's and D's. Multiple failing grades in remedial classes. Letters from the community college about academic probation. She'd been on probation for 3 straight semesters. Her real GPA, 1.8. The GPA my parents told relatives she had, 3.8. I found printed resumes. 2 versions, one labeled Cornelius, real, one labeled Cornelius, for family. The real version listed my actual achievements. National Merit Finalist, Valedictorian, Stanford Acceptance, 4 years of varsity soccer, 400 hours of volunteer tutoring, research internship at the local university, 4 AP scores of 5, president of debate club. The for-family version minimized everything. It listed me as graduate of Madison Central High School with some honors and community college plans. Meanwhile, it included fabricated achievements for Ashley. Valedictorian candidate, multiple scholarship offers, dean's list at community college. My parents had been distributing the false version to our extended family for years. I found photo albums. 2 sets. Set 1, labeled Family Photos, Living Room, was the album kept on the coffee table for guests to see. I flipped through it. Every photo prominently featured Ashley. She was centered in every frame, smiling, posed perfectly. I was barely visible, in the background, cut off at the edge, sometimes missing entirely. Set 2, labeled Originals, Storage, told a different story. I compared the photos side by side. My 8th grade graduation photo, where I'd been the class speaker. The living room version cropped me out almost entirely, focusing on Ashley sitting in the audience. The original showed me at the podium, giving my speech. My solo piano recital when I was 15. The living room version cropped to show just the audience, where Ashley Saturday, the original, showed me at the piano. Our family Christmas card from 3 years ago. The living room version had 4 people. Mom, Dad, Ashley, and a blur where I'd been digitally removed. The original had all 5 of us. They'd edited me out of my own family. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Dude, I just saw your sister at the mall. She's telling everyone she got into Stanford with your scholarship. What's going on? I called him immediately. Marcus, what exactly did you hear? I was at the food court with my mom. We ran into Ashley and some of her friends. She was showing them a Stanford acceptance letter. Said she's the valedictorian. Said she got a full ride. She was wearing a Stanford hoodie. My Stanford hoodie. The one Dr. Henderson had given me. Marcus, she's lying. That's my acceptance. My scholarship. I know, man. That's why I texted you. It's really weird. Her friends were congratulating her. She's posting about it on Instagram. I hung up and immediately checked my Stanford student portal. We'd just gotten access a few days ago. Someone else had been logging in. The activity log showed logins from an IP address I didn't recognize. I traced it. Ashley's phone. She'd been reading my course schedule, my orientation materials, my housing assignment. She'd forwarded my housing information to her own email address. She'd been planning to impersonate me. I sat in the attic, surrounded by evidence of 22 years of systematic erasure, and made a decision. I was going to expose everything. The following Saturday, my parents threw a party for Ashley. A graduation party, they called it, celebrating her completion of her associate's degree. They'd invited the entire extended family. 35 people. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my maternal grandmother Helen, neighbors. A banner hung across the back porch. Congratulations, Ashley. There was nothing about my high school graduation. Nothing about Stanford. Nothing about me. I arrived with a backpack full of evidence. The party was in full swing when I got there. Ashley stood in the center of the patio, holding court, surrounded by relatives. She wore my valedictorian medal around her neck, the one I'd left on my dresser. She'd taken it. I stood near the fence, watching, listening. Ashley laughed, showing everyone her phone. This is my Stanford acceptance letter. I'm so excited. Full scholarship. $200,000 over 4 years. Aunt Diane gasped. Ashley, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. My cousin Emma hugged Ashley. You're amazing. Valedictorian and Stanford. Ashley beamed. It's been a lot of hard work, but it's worth it. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, something colder. Determination. Uncle George approached me. Cornelius, there you are. So, what are your plans for the fall? Your dad mentioned community college? What? Yeah, he said you weren't really college material, that you're thinking about trade school, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. We need skilled tradespeople. I stared at him. Uncle George? Who told you that? Your dad. Few months ago. Said you were a solid B student, good with your hands, probably better suited for practical work than academics. My father had been lying to our extended family about me for months, maybe years. I walked to the back porch where Dad had set up a TV for the party, planning to show a slideshow of Ashley's photos. I connected my phone to the TV. Dad called for everyone's attention. All right, family, time for a toast. Everyone gathered around. Dad stood next to Ashley, beaming. Mom was crying happy tears. Today we celebrate an incredible achievement, Dad began. Ashley has worked so hard for so long. She's overcome obstacles. She's proven everyone wrong who doubted her. And now, she's headed to Stanford University as a valedictorian with a full scholarship. He listed achievements: National Merit Status, Perfect GPA, Academic Excellence Awards, Leadership Positions, Volunteer Work. Every single achievement was mine. Grandma Helen was crying. Aunt Diane was filming on her phone. Cousins were cheering. And so, Dad concluded, let's raise our glasses to Ashley, to her brilliant future, to her incredible accomplishments, to the pride of our family, to Ashley. Everyone chorused. That's when I stepped forward. Dad, that's a beautiful speech. But you forgot something. Everyone turned. The crowd parted. I walked to the center of the patio. You forgot to mention that every single achievement you just listed belongs to me. Silence. Mom's face drained of color. Cornelius, what are you doing? I held up my phone. The TV screen flickered to life behind me. My real valedictorian certificate appeared. My name, my photo. Dated 1 week ago. This is my valedictorian certificate. I gave the speech at Madison Central High School last week, while you were at Ashley's pedicure appointment. I swiped. My Stanford acceptance letter appeared on screen. Official seal. My name. This is my Stanford acceptance. My $200,000 scholarship. Ashley grabbed her phone, holding up the letter she'd been showing everyone. He's lying. This is mine. I zoomed in on the TV screen. Look closely at Ashley's letter. See the pixelation around the name? The slight color difference? That's because she photoshopped my letter. Look at the metadata. I displayed the file information. Created last week. Edited using a photo editing app on Ashley's laptop. Gasps rippled through the crowd. That's not all, I continued. I pulled up the college fund statements. These are our college funds. Both started with $45,000 from Grandpa Edmund. Mine currently has $2,300. Ashley's has $78,000. I displayed the transaction records, line by line, every withdrawal from my account, every deposit into Ashley's. Over 12 years, $43,000 was stolen from my college fund and given to Ashley for her car, for her cosmetic dental work, for her travel, for her apartment rent. Uncle George stood up. Richard, is this true? Dad's face was red. It's not that simple. Ashley needed more support. Cornelius was always self-sufficient. Here's something else, I said. I displayed Grandpa Edmund's letter. The one telling Dad not to touch my money. The one warning about Mom's favoritism. Grandma Helen stood, reading the letter on the screen. Her face crumpled. Edmund wrote that? He knew? He knew, I confirmed. He added $20,000 to my account, specifically for me. 3 weeks later, all of it was gone. Used for Ashley's veneers. I kept going. Showed the intercepted college acceptance letters. Princeton, Yale, MIT, Duke. All hidden from me. Showed the National Merit Finalist letter. The $50,000 scholarship I missed because my parents never told me about it. Showed the forged certificates with Ashley's name. Showed the photo albums. The original family photos next to the cropped versions where I'd been cut out. Aunt Diane's hands were shaking. You cut your own son out of family photos? Mom was sobbing now. You don't understand. Ashley needed this. Needed what? Grandma Helen demanded. Needed to steal her brother's identity? Ashley is special, Mom cried. She's sensitive. She deserves good things. Cornelius was always fine on his own. He didn't need our help. And I don't need help? I asked quietly. I didn't need parents at my graduation? I didn't need my college fund? I didn't need my acceptance letters? Ashley screamed. He's ruining everything. Make him stop. I'm not done, I said. I pulled up the emails between Mom and Dad. The ones discussing how to sabotage my scholarship applications, how to keep me local, how to minimize my achievements to extended family. Uncle George read the emails on screen. His face darkened. You deliberately sabotaged your son's future? We were thinking of the whole family, Dad said weakly. The whole family? I pulled up Ashley's real transcripts. Let's talk about the whole family. Here are Ashley's actual grades from community college. 1.8 gigapascals. 3 semesters of academic probation. Multiple failed classes. But you told everyone she had a 3.8. I showed the real report cards, the forged certificates, the fake resume they'd been distributing. For 22 years, I said, my voice steady, you've been erasing me and building a fake version of Ashley. Stealing my achievements, hiding my successes, cutting me out of photos, lying to our family. And for what? So you could pretend Ashley was something she's not? Mom broke down completely. You don't understand. Ashley is my baby. My last chance. Last chance at what? I demanded. To have the perfect child. Mom sobbed. The one everyone admires. I was always compared to Diane growing up. Diane was smarter. Diane was prettier. Diane was more successful. I wanted Ashley to beat Diane's kids. To show everyone I could raise someone special too. Aunt Diane looked stricken. Patricia, I never meant to make you feel that way. But Ashley struggled, Mom continued, barely hearing. She wasn't good at school. She wasn't good at sports. She wasn't good at anything. So I decided to give her Cornelius's achievements instead. He had so many. He could spare some. The patio was silent, except for Mom's crying. Uncle George's voice was cold. You stole your son's entire future so you could win a competition with your sister that existed only in your head? I just wanted one perfect child, Mom whispered. Ashley suddenly screamed. I didn't ask for this. Everyone turned to her. She was shaking, mascara streaming down her face. I knew, she sobbed. I always knew. I knew the certificates weren't mine. I knew the money was his. But Mom said it was okay. Mom said Cornelius owed me because he was smarter. Because life was easier for him. She fell to her knees on the patio. But it's not true. None of it. I can't go to Stanford. I'm not smart enough. Everyone thinks I'm someone I'm not. I can't keep pretending. I just wanted Mom and Dad to love me for who I actually am. The party dissolved into chaos. Relatives started arguing with my parents. Grandma Helen demanded they return my money immediately. Aunt Diane was deleting her social media posts. Cousins were filming everything on their phones. Neighbors were watching over the fence. I pulled out one more document. There's something else you all should know. I filed a police report yesterday for financial fraud. I've contacted Stanford about Ashley's impersonation attempt. And I've retained a lawyer to discuss emancipation and restitution. Mom fainted. Someone caught her before she hit the ground. Ashley vomited in the bushes. Dad's face turned purple with rage. "You're destroying this family," he roared. I looked at him calmly. "No, Dad, you did that 22 years ago, when you decided one child mattered and the other didn't." I walked off the patio, through the shocked crowd, and out to my car. Behind me, I heard Ashley collapse, screaming and crying. I heard Mom wailing. I heard relatives shouting. I drove away and didn't look back. Within 3 days, my entire world exploded. The videos from the party went viral. My cousins had posted them on social media. Within hours, they'd been shared thousands of times. Screenshots of the evidence I'd displayed spread across town. Local news picked up the story. Local Valedictorian exposes family identity theft. The comment section overflowed with support. Former classmates shared their own stories. I always wondered why Cornelius's parents never came to award ceremonies. I remember when he won state science fair, but his family wasn't there. His parents told my mom he was just an average student. They lied to everyone. Ashley's life imploded. Her friends abandoned her. Screenshots of her lies flooded social media. Trevor broke up with her via text, and someone leaked the conversation. The community college called. After investigating, they expelled her for academic dishonesty. She'd been paying other students to write her papers for 3 semesters. She locked herself in her room and refused to come out. My father got suspended from his accounting firm. Clients called, saying they couldn't trust someone who stole from his own child. The firm started investigating whether he'd committed fraud with client funds too. They found irregularities. Nothing conclusive, but enough to warrant suspension pending review. Mom's book club asked her not to come back. Church members whispered when she walked by. She stopped volunteering at the library. Neighbors avoided making eye contact when she checked the mail. On the second day, my lawyer sent a formal demand letter. Full restitution of my college fund, $63,000, including the original amount plus estimated growth, plus emotional damages, $50,000. Total, $113,000. Payment due within 30 days or we'd proceed with a lawsuit. The letter also included the threat of criminal charges. Mail fraud is a federal crime. Intercepting my college acceptance letters violated federal law. That afternoon, my mother showed up at Marcus's house, where I'd been staying. Marcus's mother answered the door. Mom looked terrible, eyes swollen, hair uncombed, clothes wrinkled. "Please," she begged. "I need to talk to Cornelius." Marcus's mom looked at me. I nodded. We sat on the front porch. Marcus's mom stayed nearby, protective. "You're going to destroy us financially," Mom said. Her voice was hollow. "We don't have that kind of money. We mortgaged the house to pay for Ashley's lifestyle. We're $200,000 in debt." I stared at her. $200,000? Ashley's car cost $45,000. We've been paying her rent, $2,000 a month for 3 years. That's $72,000 right there. Her credit cards average $3,000 a month. We've been paying those off. Ashley's cosmetic procedures. Her clothes. Her trips. Her phone. Her insurance. Everything. My mother had spent $200,000 on Ashley, while stealing my college fund. "We only have $18,000 in savings," Mom continued. "We can't pay the restitution. If you sue us, we'll lose the house. We'll lose everything." I looked at this woman who'd given birth to me, who'd fed me and clothed me, but never truly seen me, who'd spent 22 years erasing my existence so she could build a fake identity for my sister. You should have thought of that before you stole from me, I said. She left crying. That evening, Grandma Helen called an emergency family meeting. My parents weren't invited. 15 relatives gathered at Aunt Diane's house. I attended via video call from Marcus's house. Grandma Helen spoke first. I've made a decision. Richard and Patricia are cut off from all family events. They're not welcome at Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, or any gatherings until they make full restitution to Cornelius and show genuine remorse. Everyone voted. Unanimous. Then Grandma made another announcement. I'm changing my will. Patricia was set to inherit $150,000. That money now goes to Cornelius. Aunt Diane revealed she'd been giving Mom $500 a month for groceries. That stops today. Uncle George had planned to invest $25,000 in Dad's retirement business idea. Not anymore. My parents' financial support network collapsed in one evening. The next morning, Ashley posted a drunken Instagram video. Her makeup was smeared, her words slurred. She ranted about how I'd ruined her life. She claimed she was the real victim. She said I'd always been the favorite, and she was just trying to survive. The video got 50,000 views in 2 hours. The comments were brutal. You stole from your brother, and you're calling yourself the victim? You literally wore his valedictorian medal and claimed his achievements. Get help. More people came forward. Ashley had been accepting money from boyfriends' families under false pretenses. Trevor's parents had given her $8,000 for Stanford expenses. They were now considering pressing charges. On day 3, Detective Sarah Brennan contacted me. The district attorney was reviewing the case. Potential charges included mail fraud, a federal crime, identity theft, financial elder abuse. Since the money was from a trust established by my grandfather, all 3 of them, Mom, Dad, and Ashley, faced potential charges. Each charge carried up to 5 years in prison. Detective Brennan needed my cooperation. I had 24 hours to decide whether to press charges. I spent that night unable to sleep. Part of me wanted justice, wanted them to face consequences. But another part of me, the part that remembered Mom teaching me to ride a bike and Dad helping with science projects when I was little, hesitated. At midnight, my father appeared at Marcus's front door, drunk, enraged. He pounded on the door screaming, "You ungrateful bastard! We raised you, we fed you, clothed you. You owe us everything." Marcus's mom called the police. Dad was arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct and trespassing. He spent the night in jail. The local paper covered it. Father in Stanford fraud case, arrested after confrontation. The next morning, I met with the detective. Made my decision. File all charges, I said. That afternoon, Patricia called. Her voice shook. Ashley's gone. What do you mean gone? She left a note. It says, I can't take this anymore. I'm sorry for everything. Goodbye. She took a bottle of my anxiety medication, left her phone, wallet, and keys. Cornelius, if something happens to her, it's on you. I felt guilt slam into me despite everything. Have you called the police? They're searching now. I hung up, shaking. Marcus sat beside me. This isn't your fault, man. But doubt crept in. Had I pushed too far? If Ashley hurt herself, could I live with that? Police issued a missing persons report. Volunteers searched parks, the riverfront, abandoned buildings. Helicopters flew overhead. Media coverage intensified. Sister missing after family fraud exposed. Online comments split. Some blamed me. He pushed her too far. He's vindictive. Others defended me. She's not the victim. This is manipulation. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Detective Brennan called for my final decision on charges by morning. I was paralyzed. 12 hours after Ashley disappeared, Detective Brennan called. We found her. My heart stopped. Is she alive? She's fine. Anonymous tip led us to the Greyhound station, 40 miles away. She bought a ticket to Las Vegas yesterday. Been there all night waiting for the morning bus. Surveillance shows her alive, conscious, alone. She was never in danger. The staged suicide threat had been manipulation. One final attempt to control me. Police brought Ashley back. Local news showed her being escorted from the bus station. She was crying for the cameras, playing victim. but I saw through it. The same manipulative behavior Mom had taught her. I called Detective Brennan. File all charges. No exceptions. While police searched for Ashley, my parents made their final betrayal. They liquidated every asset they could access, drained all bank accounts, took cash advances on every credit card, pawned jewelry, sold Mom's car. Total, $32,000. They'd packed bags, hidden them in the garage. They were planning to flee. They'd waited to see if Ashley's disappearance would make me back down. When it didn't, they tried to run. Police intercepted them at the Canadian border, arrested both of them for attempted flight, added charges of obstruction of justice. At the police station, they separated my parents for interviews. Patricia broke first, told the whole truth. When Cornelius was born, he was too perfect, she said, voice flat, smart, healthy, happy. I couldn't take credit for that. It was just him. Natural talent I had nothing to do with. She described how when Ashley was born 3 years later and struggled with learning, she saw an opportunity. I could mold Ashley, shape her, take credit for creating success. So I decided early to transfer Cornelius's achievements to her. Started small in kindergarten, swapped their art projects. Told teachers Ashley made the better drawing. It escalated from there. Over 22 years, she'd systematically stolen my identity and given it to Ashley. I planned from the beginning to use Cornelius as invisible support for Ashley's life. He was smart enough that he'd succeed anyway. Ashley needed the help more. It made sense to me. In the next room, Richard admitted he'd known it was wrong from the start. Patricia threatened divorce if I didn't help her. I loved her more than my principles, more than my son. He paused. I started believing our own lies. Convinced myself Cornelius didn't need us. That it was okay to give everything to Ashley because he was fine on his own. He acknowledged destroying his son. But I was trying to save my marriage. Ashley's interview revealed something darker. She admitted she'd loved being the golden child, loved the attention, but she went further. I was relieved when Cornelius succeeded at things. It meant I didn't have to try. I could coast on his work. She confessed to actively sabotaging me. The time my science project got accidentally water damaged, Ashley did it. She poured water on it deliberately. The time college letters went missing, Ashley helped Mom intercept them. She'd watched for the mailman. She wasn't just a passive victim of Mom's schemes. She'd been an active participant. She'd suggested ways to steal from me. The Las Vegas plan was an escape. She'd intended to use my identity to get credit in a new city. Start fresh, as the Stanford Valedictorian. She had my documents, my social security number, everything she needed. The full story broke nationally. Parents steal son's identity for 22 years to create fake perfect daughter. Major networks picked it up. Think pieces appeared about parental favoritism, narcissistic family systems, scapegoat dynamics. Psychologists analyzed our family on television. I received interview requests from every major talk show. Oprah, Dr. Phil, Good Morning America, 60 Minutes. Support poured in from across the country. A GoFundMe appeared, created by strangers. It reached $100,000 in 48 hours. Then $200,000. Then kept climbing. Stanford released a statement. We stand behind Cornelius. His scholarship is secure. We're offering additional support including full mental health services and a living stipend. We're proud he chose Stanford and look forward to welcoming him. The emergency bail hearing happened 2 days later. The prosecutor argued for high bail. These defendants drained accounts, packed bags, and attempted to flee to Canada. They're clear flight risks. Defense attorneys argued otherwise. They're not flight risks. They have ties to the community. They're not dangerous. The judge reviewed evidence. Set bail at $250,000 each for my parents. $100,000 for Ashley. They couldn't pay it. Extended family refused to help. All three remained in custody pending trial. During the hearing, the prosecutor revealed additional evidence I hadn't known about. Years of documentation from teachers noting how I was neglected, how my parents never responded to calls about my achievements, how they missed every parent-teacher conference where my accomplishments would be discussed. Medical records showed I'd had a cavity that went untreated for 2 years. My parents claimed they couldn't afford the dentist. This happened the same year Ashley got $18,000 cosmetic veneers. Child Protective Services opened a retroactive investigation. Even though I was an adult now, they were looking into whether criminal child neglect charges applied. Outside the courthouse, media swarmed. I'd prepared a statement. I stood on the courthouse steps, cameras pointing at me, reporters shouting questions. I unfolded my paper and read. For 22 years, I was erased. My achievements were stolen. My identity was given to someone else. My future was intercepted. I was told I didn't matter, that I should be grateful for scraps, that wanting my own life was selfish. My voice stayed steady. Today, I'm reclaiming my name, my accomplishments, my truth. To anyone suffering in silence from family abuse, you matter, your pain is real, and you deserve justice. The crowd erupted in applause. The clip played on every news channel that night. Back at the courthouse entrance, Ashley was being escorted out by deputies. She saw me on the steps, saw the cameras, saw the crowd supporting me. Her face crumpled. She realized she'd lost everything. Her false identity was gone. Her real self was exposed as cruel and manipulative. She had no friends, no future. She faced prison time. She collapsed on the courthouse steps, screaming and sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, Cornelius, please." Paramedics rushed over. She was hyperventilating, having a full panic attack. They loaded her into an ambulance, placed her on psychiatric hold. I watched from the top of the steps. Marcus stood beside me. "You okay?" he asked. I thought about it. Watched my sister being taken away. Watched my parents being led back to jail. Watched the media circus. "Yeah," I said finally. "I think I finally am." 3 months passed. The criminal trial concluded quickly. All three took plea deals. Richard received 18 months in prison, 5 years probation, and court-ordered restitution. Patricia got 2 years in prison, 5 years probation, and mandatory therapy. Ashley received 1 year in jail, 3 years probation, and 500 hours of community service. Additionally, all three were banned from contacting me for 10 years. A protective order was in place. The court ordered full restitution, $113,000. My parents' house was sold. They'd owned it outright, and the proceeds were split between paying me and covering their debts. Ashley's luxury SUV was repossessed. Her belongings were sold at auction. I received $78,000 immediately. The remaining $35,000 would come from their wages after release, garnished monthly until paid in full. The GoFundMe, which had climbed to $230,000, was placed in a trust. I used it for therapy, education expenses, and building my future. Extended family remained supportive. Grandma Helen video called me every week. Uncle George and Aunt Diane invited me for holidays. My cousins stayed in regular contact. They'd all completely cut off my parents and Ashley, waiting to see if genuine change happened. At Stanford, I thrived. First quarter, 4.0 GPA, made the dean's list, joined a research lab studying family psychology, which felt ironically fitting. I made real friends who knew my whole story and supported me anyway. I started dating Jennifer, a biochemistry major who treated me with respect and kindness. I lived in the honors dorm and felt, for the first time in my life, truly seen. Weekly therapy sessions with Dr. Laura helped me process 22 years of trauma. I learned I'd been the scapegoat in a narcissistic family system. Ashley had been the golden child. It was a classic dysfunctional pattern, and understanding it helped me heal. I worked through complex PTSD, learned to set boundaries, and discovered who I was without the family dysfunction defining me. 4 months after the trial, I received a letter from Ashley. 15 pages, written from jail. It started with apologies, genuine-sounding remorse for what she'd done. But by page 3, it shifted to excuses. By page 7, she was asking for help when she got out. By page 12, she was begging me to convince the family to forgive her. I read it once, recognized the old manipulation patterns, the guilt trips, the victim mentality, the expectation that I'd rescue her. I wrote back one sentence. "I forgive you, but I will never forget, and I will never let you back into my life." I mailed it and felt a weight lift. My parents wrote separately. Richard's letter was full of self-pity. I lost everything. Your mother made me do it. Minimal accountability. I didn't respond. Patricia's letter was more honest. She admitted she'd been jealous of me. Jealous of my natural intelligence. Jealous that I didn't need her. She'd wanted to be needed, wanted to be the reason for someone's success. She couldn't stand that I succeeded without her help, so she tried to destroy me and build Ashley instead. She asked for forgiveness. I wrote back, maybe one day I'll forgive you. But that day isn't today. You stole my childhood. You intercepted my future. You taught my sister to steal my identity. You earned every consequence you're facing. I hope you find peace, but you won't find it through me. 6 months after the trial, I accepted an invitation to speak at a TED conference. The topic, The Invisible Child, Surviving Family Scapegoating. I stood on that stage and told my story. The talk went viral. 10 million views in the first week. I became an advocate for adult children of narcissistic families. I partnered with therapists to create a resource guide. I helped change the conversation around family loyalty and empowered others to seek justice and healing. Using part of the GoFundMe money, I created a scholarship, the Invisible Child Scholarship, $25,000 annually, for academically successful students from dysfunctional families. The first recipient was a girl named Sophie, whose parents had forced her to give her college fund to her brother. I presented it to her personally at a small ceremony. She cried. Someone finally sees me, she whispered. I understood completely. 8 months after everything happened, I returned to my hometown, not to see my family, to speak at Madison Central High School. Dr. Henderson had invited me for an assembly. All students, mandatory attendance. Topic: Your worth isn't determined by your family. The auditorium was packed. Standing room only. I saw teachers crying as I spoke about being erased, being invisible, being told I didn't matter. Students listened in absolute silence. Several approached me afterward, sharing their own stories of family dysfunction. Dr. Henderson hugged me. You've come so far. Your parents tried to clip your wings, but you learned to fly anyway. As I left the school, I found Ashley waiting by my car. She'd been released early on good behavior. She looked different. Thinner, hair shorter. Humbled somehow. Cornelius, please. 5 minutes. I almost walked away, but curiosity won. We sat on a bench near the parking lot. I've been in therapy, she said. Real therapy, not the kind Mom arranged where the therapist just agreed with her. I'm beginning to understand what we did to you. What I did to you. I listened without speaking. Mom made me believe you existing was a threat to me existing. That there wasn't enough love for both of us. That I had to take from you to have anything myself. I was 7 years old when that started. And I believed it until I was sitting in that jail cell. She was crying. Real tears, not the performative kind from before. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know, you were always the better person, the stronger person. I was jealous of that most of all. I thought for a long time before responding. Ashley, you were a victim too, in a different way. Mom and Dad raised you to be a parasite. That's not your fault. I paused. But what you did with that, how you leaned into it, how you helped them hurt me, that was your choice. I know. I don't hate you, but I don't trust you. And I won't ever be your brother again. She nodded, accepting it. I hope you build a real life, a real identity, something that's actually yours. But you have to do that without me. I stood up and walked to my car. In the rearview mirror, I saw her sitting alone on the bench, crying. I didn't stop. 1 year after everything began, I was completing my sophomore year at Stanford. Double major in psychology and computer science. 3.95 GPA. I'd published a research paper on family scapegoating dynamics. Jennifer and I had been together for 8 months. A healthy relationship built on mutual respect and equality. I was surrounded by chosen family. Marcus, college friends, supportive professors. Therapy had decreased to once a month. I felt genuinely happy for the first time I could remember. I received an invitation to speak at a family psychology conference. 500 mental health professionals in attendance. I stood at the podium and began. 22 years. That's how long my family systematically stole my identity and gave it to my sister, my money, my achievements, my future. They intercepted my college acceptances. They drained my college fund. They cut me out of family photos. They convinced me I didn't matter. For 22 years, I believed them. But here's what I learned. The people who are supposed to love you most can be the ones who hurt you worst. And that's not your fault. The abuse doesn't define you. Their limitations don't limit you. Their lies don't become your truth. I spent my childhood being erased, my teenage years being invisible, my early adulthood discovering I'd been robbed. But I also discovered something else. I didn't need them. I never did. The strength they tried to break? It came from inside me. The intelligence they tried to steal? It was mine all along. The future they tried to intercept? I claimed it anyway. Today, my parents are in prison. My sister is rebuilding her life from nothing. My extended family cut them off. The truth is public, and I am free. I didn't just survive. I won. Not because they're punished, but because I refused to let their dysfunction define me. I chose myself. I chose truth. I chose justice. And to anyone out there living in the shadow of family abuse, choose yourself. Tell the truth. Seek justice. You deserve more than scraps. You deserve your own life, your own identity, your own future. Don't wait for them to change. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait to matter. You already matter. You always did. And when you finally break free, you'll realize you were never the problem. You were always the solution. 500 mental health professionals rose to their feet. Applause thundered through the conference hall. Not just for my words, but for my survival, my triumph. Later, backstage, I checked my phone. Messages from around the world. People sharing their stories. Thanking me. Telling me I'd saved them. I thought about the boy I'd been, desperate for approval from parents who saw him as raw material to mine for someone else's success. And I thought about the man I'd become. Whole, healed, genuinely happy. The greatest revenge isn't punishment. It's building a beautiful life they can't touch, can't steal, can't diminish. They tried to erase me. Instead, I erased their power. And that made all the difference. I walked across Stanford campus that evening, backpack over my shoulder, heading to meet Jennifer for dinner. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. My phone buzzed. Marcus asking about summer plans. Dr. Henderson emailing about an award I'd won. Jennifer confirming our reservation. I smiled. Not because the pain was gone, but because I'd built something real from the ashes of what they tried to destroy. And that something was my life. Finally, truly, mine. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Have you ever had someone take credit for your achievements or minimize your success? How did you handle it? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps others who need to hear this message find it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a story about overcoming adversity and finding your own strength. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they matter, that their worth isn't determined by how their family treats them, that they deserve justice and healing. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for your support. I hope you found something here that speaks to your own journey, whatever that may be. Remember, you were never the problem. You were always the solution. Take care of yourselves out there. You matter. You always did.